we had to download to the 52-hour program, which was then 52 hours in that capsule. And just to make it, more enjoyable for the crew, they point the solar rays at the sun, actually to save energy, to save fuel, and spin the vehicle, and then turn everything off. And you do this 8 hours at a time. And so you are just slowly spinning for 8 hours at a time, doing nothing. And it's not really kind of after a while that gets to you. Imagine just being on like a slow ride, and it's always spinning, and always spinning. And it just after a while, that's all I say. My therapist says in a few years I'll be over this and be able to move on. That's actually docking to the space station. It's in the dock to the Russian side of the space station when you're in a Russian vehicle. That's coming in, and you can see we're not happy to get in here. And the reason I think we have more smiles on our face is because this is actually the second time we came in. The first time we didn't have the cameras all set up, and so we came in so we could use the bathroom. Which is a minor detail. And then now we're much happier at this moment. Our faces don't look the same that first time through. So yeah, we're gonna use the camera shot. Just to start off a little point here is you see us floating, right? And so I always ask people, is there gravity where we are? We're 250 miles up going around the Earth. So, is there gravity? Most people say, no, you're floating. Well, that's incorrect. We're in free fall. That's the whole idea of being in orbit, is the fact that we're going so fast around the Earth, as we fall, we just keep missing the Earth. That's, think about two vectors of your velocity. If one that goes out this way, one that comes down from gravity, you combine the two together and then make a circle around the Earth. And that's what we're doing. And so we have gravity, but we don't ever feel it because we're in a free fall all the time. This is what the space station looks like right now, and when I got there too. It's about 360 feet across, and that's really where the solar arrays are and the electrical generation systems. So also, if you look on the right side, that's the two solar arrays I got to put on my shuttle mission, so that's I'm proud of it. Those two ones I got to be a part of. And then, if you look at the habitable modules, where we're living is more in the center, going front and back. And that's about 280 feet long. And there's some ones that stick on the side you can see out there like that. But it gives you a pretty good volume. It's a volume, I like to compare to a large jet, like even like a 777 type jet. So it's actually quite a bit of volume. But as you probably saw before, there's lots of things in the space station. We have science equipment, to our supplies. We have to have 100 units a year worth of supplies on board in case the cargo vehicles don't come up all the time, stuff like that. So it is pretty full of stuff. And being that way, you can imagine having that much supplies on board and trying to find everything. That was always a big management problem. And we have a whole group on the ground that tries to track that all, but it is really, I promise you, it's as good as the data gets put in, right? If you don't put it in the right spot at the very beginning, you're never going to find it again. It's a large station, and you can lose things quite easily. Main thing, or reason why we're up there, and the reason why we built the space station is science. When I was up there, there was over 300 scientific experiments going on. I probably only worked on maybe 100, 150 of them myself. But that was always fun to do. I liked them tremendously. They varied widely. The ones that we don't work on are some on the outside. They were looking for dark energy, dark matter. That was really interesting. There's also this one we did spheres, which is kind of fun to work on. These are things that will go around, kind of like Star Wars. That's actually, they came from the inventor of these, watched the Star Wars movie and wanted to make something like that. They remember from, I don't remember when, because episode 4 now, where he's doing the lightsaber versus the little thing that flies around. Right? That's where this whole idea came from on those. So I like the way, that science fiction help create something on the space station. That was fluids. We'll see more of that later. Combustion or fire. That was kind of fun. I love playing with fire anyway. I get to do it in space. That's even better. So that was a fun one to do. Of course, many on the human body. As I'm doing measurement on my legs to see if I've lost any muscle mass. Because that's one thing we worry about is without working out or without having gravity, you're going to probably lose some muscle mass. So how much and when, stuff like that. Growing food. We realized we have to grow some food if we want to go on Mars stuff. So the first edible food grown on the space station is romaine lettuce. We also checking our eyes because we found out 40% of astronauts aren't coming back with major changes in vision. We're trying to figure out why that's happening. Again, this whole idea, we want to have the people who are going to Mars, so places like that, they can be healthy when they get there. The other thing is we found out that living in space is like growing old quickly. You lose your bone density, your muscle loss, your immune system goes bad, your eyesight goes bad, your cardio system doesn't work as well. All these kind of things happen to you. So we're trying to figure out better understanding of these systems and maybe how to mitigate these processes, and so we can help everybody here on Earth too. Some aspects of the science that I really enjoyed to me, and this is a Robonaut. And so it's basically the idea is it's a robotics person that can then assist in what you're doing, like hold things if you can do that kind of stuff. Now it's not there yet, it's just a prototype. And one of my jobs, since it went up, it was a really not even hardly working prototype. So I got to rebuild it, basically, which I really enjoyed. I like robotics. So and it didn't have legs on either, so I put the legs on, and the chest area is really just a computer system. So I took that all apart and redid all the computer side of it, put it all together again, and got it to working again. So I really kind of had fun with that one. That was fun, and it was like a 2-week project too. I like the idea that I got to do something continuous and not just changing every day, and got to work on something like that. Other aspects, some of those human body ones kind of get annoying a little bit. You're a guinea pig, but this one wasn't so bad at all. Just like a little, about every 3 weeks we'd have to do blood work and urine work, and we had to do it all ourselves. So you poke yourself and take your own blood. It was just more of a nuisance in the morning, so nothing too terrible. And then sometimes they'd want you, like once a month we had to do, we call it a VO2 max. So, which is I don't know if anybody has done a VO2 max test before. It's really just you have to go to a full exertion on like an exercise bike or a treadmill. So we use an exercise bike for this one. But you're hooked up to all sorts of equipment to measure everything about you. Your air in and out, your heart, all that. I got 12 lead EKG you got going on. You got the blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. Your nose is plugged. So it's not really fun to do this, right? It's not a good time. And to me, the worst part about this is you're setting up the equipment and taking it down. Not only do you have to get tortured, you have to make stuff all work. That's not too fun. To me, it can't even get worse than that, though, because this thing is just terrible. It really wasn't this chair, of course, but this was an experiment they did on the ground before we left, and it was right after we came back. They were looking to see if you get strength loss. Is it due to the muscles being weaker, or to your neurological system not working as well, not firing the muscle as well? And so their experiment then is you sit in a chair, and you have a sensor that measures how hard you can push out with your leg, like you're doing a leg extension, right? And they measure that, and then they will see, you do it by yourself first, see how hard you can go. And while you're doing that, then they will shock you with electrodes on your leg to see if they get any more out of it. And they do this over and over again. And they also have to make sure that they the max amount of force, so they have to keep turning up the voltage, making sure it's maxed. They just keep turning it up until they get like, oh, I guess that. No, I think let's do one more. And it just hurt them quite a bit. So this was not a fun one to go through. And of course, they need, as any good science, you need a lot of data, right? So we had to do it over and over again. Well, there was subject, but one thing I also like to point out, I talked about it earlier a little bit about making mistakes and learning from your mistakes, and also the big thing is moving on from your mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen all the time. But on a space mission, everybody goes into it sometimes thinking, "Oh, I'm never going to mistake. I'm going to be perfect at it," and stuff like that, and that never happens. Everybody makes mistakes, and I got that drilled into me beforehand, luckily, by some of my mentors. But the whole thing is about learning and what to do about that, because you're going to make a mistake. So, the idea is just figure out why you made a mistake, figure out how you're going to not do that again next time, and maybe atone for it, basically fess up right away, made a mistake, and then you got to move on. Now, you get like 1 minute to do all that, and then, because especially in the shuttle world, you had another task in 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever you had to do, so you could not dwell on any mistake. You had to be done with it, moved on, and ready to go at 100% next time. But that's not the only place you make mistakes. For me, one of the big things we get to do as an astronaut is when you come back from space, you get to go see the President of the United States. You get to have a little chat with him, which is fun. And as a crew, we get to sit down with him and talk for a little bit. And then you do the photo op, and our families are there for this part of it, the photo op. So we're the families are lined up, and we're going into this room where this is now for President Bush and Laura Bush. And we're going in and taking picture with them. And I think it's kind of one family at a time. And so as I turn to my family, it's my wife and my youngest kid, and we go on in a workshop that my wife's supposed to stand next to President Bush, and I'm supposed to stand next to Laura Bush. And so as my wife starts heading over to President Bush, he comes up and grabs her, puts his arm around her, gives her a hug, says, "How you doing, darling?" All this really, friendly kind of stuff, which is wonderful. And so I walk over to Laura Bush, and I'm about to give Laura Bush a big hug, right? And I get my arm up like this, and I go, "I can't do that." It's like with the Queen, you're not going to do that to the Queen, right? No. And so I like to try to recover and say, "Hi, ma'am, how you doing?" Very polite as I could be. And then, but my hand's falling about right here, and the camera's over here, and so they say, "Smile," and I'm like this. And my hand is right here. And if you look closely, so this was our Christmas card that year, and with the president of the United States is me holding on to his wife's other parts. So, I got some good laughs out of that one, though. People thought it was pretty funny when they did that. I showed the picture. The other thing we do on the space station is maintenance. We have to keep this thing running. So we do a lot of routine maintenance, of course, just like you do at your house. And then when things break, you got to fix it. Now, the big thing about working in space on things like this is keeping track of your tools. Because you just can't put them down. They will not stay there. They will float away. And you probably saw in some places, it was pretty busy around there. There were lots of things around there where tools will get lost. And they do get lost if you let them go. And so after you do that once or twice, in your first week or so, you realize that this is not going to work. I got to figure out a better way. And everybody has their own way. And for me, it was I had used two pair of pants. I should start with that for the 6 months. And one of them was the American version, and it had Velcro, just a little bit of Velcro in the pockets, and the other one was zippered, and they were the Russian ones. And I definitely found out that was much better, and I would just put all the tools in my pockets and zip them closed, and then just go reach out there. But you have to be very careful, because if you have, like sometimes you need multiple sockets, and so if you reach in and they start all flying out, you got to contain them and get them back. And it was just, you have to be really careful about those tools. And you see up there, if a tool goes away, you're probably not going to find it for a while. And it was just difficult. They all seem to find a nice place to float into that you just couldn't ever find them. It's very busy on board the space station. We also had to take care of the spacesuits. They were never meant to be worked on in space, so they were always a little difficult. Lots of little parts, like little washers and stuff you had to worry about. So it was always some more stressful task with those things. Now, when we get free time, besides playing on Sundays, the other thing we do is look out the window, though, because our Earth is very, very beautiful. It is a fantastic thing to look back at, to, I guess, become familiar with in a different way. And daytime was beautiful, but nighttime for me was really, really, I think, interesting or, mesmerizing almost, because there was always the lights in the cities, but there's also lightning all over our planet. Every night we would go, and we get actually lots of nights, we go around Earth every 90 minutes. So you can see lightning all everywhere, and you could watch it go through a whole thunderstorm from like 1,000 miles across. It was just really interesting to see. And then, so we get 16 sunrises and sunsets a day. So we can see quite a few of those, and they happen very, very quickly. This is a normal speed for a sunrise as it happens. And then this is sped up though, so it gives you the view out our cupola window, which is a 7-window area we have that looks back down on Earth. And it's really nice. You can float down in there and just get this 360-degree kind of Earth and kind of look at it. And we like to spend a lot of time down there. It was really fun. Auroras, we got to see quite a few on the southern side. For us, that's what was more active. And it was just a really great thing. I mean, I think one of the aspects about having this opportunity was that you got to know Earth really well. Actually, my geography got much better, as you can imagine. But it wasn't the same kind of, let's throw this one in. Couldn't look better. The way I learned the Earth was a little different. Because if you look at it, when you have a globe like at home and you look at it, there's always the country lines on it, and that's always how we study everything, like where each country is and stuff like that. But when you look at the actual planet, there are no lines, of course, right? And so what you really study then is the geographical formations, from mountains to rivers, lakes, oceans, seas, all these kind of things. That's what you know, deserts, you know, rainforests, all that. That's what you see. And so that's what you kind of got to know and become really familiar with on the Earth. There's all these kind of interesting things. So here, I mean, you know, you can see that that's the Strait of Gibraltar, right? And then you go, okay, well then I know north of there, it's going to be Spain and Portugal somewhere to the left and France is somewhere to the right. But where exactly? It doesn't matter. Just around that area. Right? And so lines like that just aren't important. It's more the geographical features that come out and stick out. Especially if you look at South America here, you can definitely see the Andes. You got Chile across there, you got Argentina this side, and the west, no one is like Bolivia. But you know, it doesn't really matter where those countries are. It matters what you look at, what the features you see. And so it was really, I think it was really interesting to get that aspect of it, that view, and I really enjoyed that part of it. And taking pictures, we like to take pictures too. So I started off, when I first got there, the goal was to take pictures of all these beautiful things on the planet. I mean, there were so many beautiful things, but you're always focusing on these one little things, kind of like, you know, with a big camera lens, so you can just take this one picture of the one thing. And then after a while, after doing this for a while, and pretty much taking all those pictures that you want of things like the Nile. This is actually a picture of the Nile Delta, and Cairo there, you can see. That to me was a fun thing to do, taking all these pictures of around. And here's one of a natural formation that I didn't know existed until I flew. It's in Africa. And I don't even know the country right now, but I can tell you, if you give me a picture of Africa, I can point out where it was. But this is called, I don't know how to pronounce it actually, probably, it's R-I-C-H-A-T, so I call it Rishat, but I don't know if that's right or not. But I thought it was man-made. First time I looked at it for months, I thought it was man-made. So I thought I was going to look up to see, I thought it was a mine, right, somewhere. And it's huge, it's 100 miles across. And I was like, who's made this mine? It's so big. So I started researching it and found out it's not man-made, it's natural. And it was really interesting to come across something like that that's so different, but it's a natural formation, and it's something I never knew about anywhere on Earth like that existed. You probably guessed where that is. And the thing about taking at nighttime too, especially of Italy, is when you have the right angle of light, you could take a picture of Mount Etna and see the red in the center of Mount Etna, the lava kind of down there. I thought that was kind of cool to be able to do that. But as I got on, you take all these pictures, I then sort of switched to, because you kind of get done with that, like, okay, I've taken pictures of all those things, well, what else do you do? And your I guess, perspective changes too. So then you kind of get into this big, more global shots. And I started liking these things too, to kind of get a good idea of what really Earth looks like from this viewpoint. And part of this also turned into, I don't know, maybe I was getting a little, go crazy up there or something, but the cloud structure and formations got to me. Like this was really interesting, cloud, because it is a scattered layer for thousands of miles, right? And that's hardly ever happens. I mean, we got to see this over and over again, and I never saw that. This was probably 5 months into it, and the first time I saw that ever happen anywhere. So I took a picture of it, because that's just something that was really rare, to have that huge of area that was a scattered cloud formation. And other cloud formations I found just were really interesting. They can have all sorts of different shapes, and really things that I found, like why this was happening to me was always very interesting. Was there a wind, and which way the wind was coming from, and what did the features look like that caused this kind of interesting formations of the wind? And so that kind of got me thinking about all sorts of things. And so I would take more pictures of these later on. And another thing I like to point out on picture taking here is, if you look at the top of Earth here, the horizon, you see the blue line, and that blue line is our atmosphere. That's really thin, and that's something that I think about now, that and if we lose that atmosphere, it's not going to be very good for us. And if you think about also, I don't know if you have read on this, but they're thinking Mars, of course, had atmosphere and water, etc., like Earth did, as Earth does now, and they lost theirs. And we don't know what for sure yet. There's some guesses out there on that one. But, you know, and it's not a very nice place to live right now, would be Mars. So let's not have Earth do the same thing. I think we need to take care of our atmosphere, our planet, and to make sure that we're not ending up like that. Well, when you're on the space station, you have to do a lot of the same things you do daily life kind of stuff, you know, from brush your teeth, you know, you saw that, going to the bathroom, all those kind of things. We also have to eat. So this is eating on the space station here. We have two types of food. You have dehydrated food and you have packaged foods. We also have part of the packaged food is bars. So we have a whole shelf full of bars. But living in space is different with everything. Everything floats, right? So the little things become more difficult. And you have trouble finding that little paper bar. Our table's on the left there. We don't eat on the table. It's just kind of to put things to while we get things ready. This is how you rehydrate the food, this part of the food. We have a machine that we can put it up, the food into. It's like how much water you want, room temperature or hot water. You hit the button, it fills it up. You wait 15 minutes, and then you're going to use your scissors, and you cut it open, and you use your spoon, your one spoon for the 6 months. You don't lose your spoon, and then you go ahead and eat. And so let's have a little dinner. You notice things are floating around, it's on purpose. So it's like some food floating around. Trying to make a taco. They're trying to put different things together to make a taco out of it. They try to make it taste good. And my package there floating around. And so it's just an interesting way to eat as you go along here. And you notice we don't sit down, because we don't ever sit down on a space station. We have our feet hold us in place. That's what we do for work, for everything. And you get really used to that aspect of having your feet hold you in place. You don't even have to think about it after a while. It just becomes natural. And the interesting thing there is you end up with calluses on top of your feet and nothing on the bottom of your feet. So it's kind of a different aspect to it. Now, so we don't have running water, so to clean things off, that's what I'm getting out now is a wet wipe. And that's how you clean, you know, your spoon off or your cleaning the scissors off. But that's what we do for everything on board. So that's it. And you watch too, and the food has a tendency to not stay where it's supposed to. It floats away all the time. Just the way it works. I think the only way with moisture it can stick to your spoon. Besides that, it's just going to come off. And so you get used to having things float around. And you go, you notice I actually lose a big chunk of meat right there when I pull my spoon towards me. It stays there. I don't even notice it right away. So, I'm sure when it hits me in the face, I notice it. But I'll take a picture of that one. To mitigate the bone loss and muscle loss that we get on board, we work out over 2 hours every day. We have 3 different types of equipment. We have a resistive exercise device, which is like lifting weights, and we do that every day. And then we also have a treadmill, and it has a harness on it, you can show it here, and then the bungee system to hold us on the treadmill, or else you'd have a really easy run. And then we also have an exercise bike, and this is really just a pedal system. It does not have handlebars or a seat because you don't need those things. And you just pedal away on this bike. And you can see here that sweating is a little different in space. It doesn't really drip off of you, right? It just stays on you and kind of forms large bits of liquid as it goes along. So we found liquids were very interested in space. And so we came up with our own experiments, a couple experiments. So this was not fun, it was all about science, maybe a little bit of fun. But so here we're making a large sphere of water. And now the idea here is to put a camera in the water to get to see what the view of it looks like inside a bubble. What do you see from that kind of thing? So we're going to have to put a camera in there just to get this view. And I think it was very difficult to actually make a bubble this big and not have it float in different directions. It had to be very stable to do all this. And that's the view, and it was really kind of cool. But what was more interesting to me is when I went to grab the camera, I was going to grab it and point at a crewmate so I get the view through this at the crewmate and see what he looks like. However, the adhesion of the water molecules was so strong that it really sticks to my skin more than I thought it was going to. And I can't pull it out at all. It really was like this really sticky kind of substance that I wasn't really prepared for as much as I thought it was going to be. So now I'm just kind of trying to be gentle and not ruin our bubble of water. And as I do this though, it slowly works its way up my arm. It's a blob, you know, it's some horror movie kind of moving up there. By the time I got done with this, it was up to my elbow down to my hand, and I could move it back and forth by moving my arm, and it would just kind of roll over my arm and stuff. It was really kind of like a sci-fi thing going on, you know, and it was really fun to do, fun to play with. So we also then think, what else can we do with a big ball of water? And if you remember seeing one of the astronauts on here, Alex, he was shaving his head, so he had this nice bald head, and we thought, you know what would be really cool? Is if you went and dove into this ball of water, what would that look like? And so we're ready for that. Now, if you look closely, he's got the water over his eyes, nose, and mouth. And it's in that whole film of water over his head. So he's underwater. And we have to admit, we didn't notice until he started choking. But it's okay. But it was definitely pretty fun to do. So we definitely had fun playing with this kind of stuff. And you see, we were at the top to make sure we didn't cause any damage. We never told anybody on the ground we were doing this. And they saw the videos afterwards and kind of went, oh my God. Coming home, it's a little different than a shuttle for sure on a Soyuz. Shuttle was a pretty benign ride home. It's like being in an airplane. This was much different, being a capsule. So it starts off the same. We get in the vehicle, we put on our launch entry suits, we strap ourselves in, we're going to dock from the space station. And here, about just a couple hours later, we're going to do the de-burn, which slows us down again, about 250 miles an hour. We're going to end the Earth's atmosphere. But now we're in a capsule, so we're not going to fly through it. We're going to fall like a rock through it. And that means you have a lot more G's on us, which causes we have a lot higher deceleration. The deceleration happens much faster, so you slow down much more quickly. So you have about 4 minutes at 4.5 G's. And that was kind of interesting, because now we've been floating for 6 months, and now we get 4.5 G's on us for about 4 minutes. It was unique, I'll give you that. It was a different feeling. But you see the plasma around the vehicle too, because it was very, very hot with that coming through so quickly. So the vehicle gets kind of warm inside too at the same time. And the parachutes come out, and when the parachutes come out, they spin the vehicle too. And so it's kind of a good, I guess, dynamic phase of flight. A lot of things going on, you're thrown around in the vehicle. But then when you hit the ground, it's like you're hitting something at 15 miles an hour, like going backwards too, because it absorbs in our seat. And we're pretty, say, gliding back on the ground at this moment though. And so we're in those chairs like everything, they're taking care of us. They take us out of those chairs and they move into a tent and they start doing tests on you. All right? And the first test they do is to see if you can walk around, which is pretty interesting to do. And I was pretty happy I could walk, I could do that stuff pretty well. What I couldn't realize I couldn't do well was walk with my eyes closed. And what it is the inner ear, when you first go to space, causes an issue with your body because it measures the gravity, right? And so it gives you the balance. And so right now I can close my eyes and my inner ear makes it so I can balance and stay upright. But when you're in the zero gravity environment of space, it confuses your brain, so your brain just turns it off and doesn't use it anymore. And then when you come back though, it has to reincorporate it, but that takes days. And so the first time I tried to walk, I was pretty good with my eyes open, but if I closed my eyes, I would fall over. I couldn't take one step without falling over that way. I thought that was really interesting to do. And then we made the first shower, which you haven't had a shower in 6 months. That first shower though, I couldn't close my eyes and put my head back. That would have been really bad. So you had to be really careful in the shower on that first one to do. But on a space station, we do, do it with people from other cultures, and also, even if it's your best friends and you're, living with them for 6 months in a confined area and working together and playing together, you're going to have some conflict, some, friction is going to happen. And just imagine even your spouse, the person you love the most, and you live with them and work with them, and they'll leave your house for 6 months. I'm sure you guys would not have any problem. I might have a little bit with that, but you guys probably wouldn't. But so we came up with ways for conflict resolution on the space station, and I'll let you have a little video of that.
I'm trying to ask us, we have arguments or disputes like any other group of people would. We like to handle them just like any civilized culture would handle them.
Of course, we talk about like throwing a dust.
What? No, we duel. Duel. No, let me give you your weapon. Woohoo!
I've been waiting to shoot you for a long time.
start at other ends of the module. We float to each other. They get one shot, of course. First shot wins. However, if your shot misses, the other guy gets a point blank point and you float closer to him. So, we're going to give it a try. He's been taking me off a little bit, so we have to do a duel.
Excellent.
If you ruin my family name again.
He missed.
Oh, I'm gonna take a long range shot right now. Oh, right in the finger! Slide it 2 for 2. Nice shot, man.
And you're shooting good at the same time, weren't you?
Yep. I went just under you.
He didn't know how to get skinny.
Nope.
It's too big.
I'm gonna use defense.
Oh! Got you again! Nice.
I never regret this. The bullet left in the barrel is not very worth it. Not very useful.
You got hit your head?
Yes, it did.
You're both dead. I think I got you first. But you're still.
We got some speed. Forehead shot. Nice shot, Alex.
You notice we only use one gun on one bullet, right? And the reason it happens is there are only 3 slots for darts in there. So there's total, I had 3 guns I took up with me. So that, yes, I took those up. So there's only 9 darts, right? And the first time we played with them, we each got the 3 darts out, and we were gonna have our little war. And the war lasted like, what, a minute or something like that, right? It took us an hour and a half to find the darts. No, that's not happening yet, all right? We're not doing that. So, as we came up with the idea of having the duels, and it actually worked pretty well. We got the Russians down there working with us on that and stuff like that, and I thought it was good to get everybody having fun together and laughing. But again, I got questions now. If you guys have any more questions, yes.
You talked about your experience when you landed. How long did it take you to get used to gravity again after 6 months?
There's 2 aspects of that. The balance thing took about 10 days. And I'm actually nice to test that. We go to this little facility where they have a way to test all that, and I did that pretty much every day to see how long. And they measure the improvement. I know about 10 days it takes to that. The physical side, it took about 6 months to get myself back all the way to normal again. And that's even though because I was working out, I didn't work out the whole body. There's parts of it you don't work out, kind of like mostly your core. My core, when I came back, was really, really weak. I couldn't sit up even. And so it was really interesting. So it took a long time to rehab that out and get myself going. Anyone here? Yes.
On that stuff, going to continue to extend the ISS, or are they going to be reaching it?
Well, right now I think it's 2024. However, I just was reading that they are looking to 2030 already. I think that's in the works right now. So that's, I don't know if it's signed up. It's going through our Congress right now to extend it. And that's who determines it. Even they do the funding for it. But that's all it's all about, is the funding. Yes.
How warm is the station?
How warm is the space station? I think it's like 22 degrees all the time. And so it's nice. It's not too hot, not too cold. And we can kind of ask them to put what temperature we want it at. And for us, that was just a nice temperature. And you don't have to look at your phone and check your weather. It's going to be the same thing. Yes?
Do you lose track of time?
You lose track of time. Not really, because we don't really get to look out the window that much, so we can't, like, you're not looking at checking for sun, kind of where it is, kind of thing. But what you're doing is, we have a watch on and we have the computers that has our schedule on it, and we are following our schedule pretty tightly. And so you're kind of on the clock all the time. And we call it chasing the red line, because it has a schedule, and the red line moves across your schedule, right? And you've got to make sure you're done by the time, if the red line gets to the end of your task and you move on to the next one and stuff like that. So you're always kind of watching the clock and seeing how, where you are on the clock and trying not to get behind. Yes? No, I know what you're talking about, but for me, it was really evident that I was back in gravity, and I never had an issue adapting back to it right away. It was, it was pretty obvious. Most people I think are pretty good about that. Yes?
Yeah, it's about the what we did. Is that the prototype for the Valkyrie that's being used for?
I think it was a prototype of Valkyrie. Valkyrie's much more sophisticated than that one, of course. This was more the dexterity, it was all in the hand area, and that was so they workers they could hold on to things. That's what they were working on that one for. Yes?
How much did you use your computer background as an astronaut? Computer science background?
Hardly all. So when you get to once you get selected, your job is now to become an astronaut. And that means that you're really more operator, right? I'm not really going back and doing stuff. Now, my first mission on the shuttle, I was responsible for the local area network on the space shuttle. So I had to set it all up and do that. Now, I could have been trained to do that without a background in computer science, right? But so, really, what you've done before doesn't matter too much. They're going to train you for everything you need to know. So, like we have, from engineers, scientists, doctors, we have a veterinarian, all these people, we all do the same jobs. So we're all trained kind of for anything like that. So, yes?
You talked a lot about like physical tech being in space, but do you think there's any like clear psychological tech?
Psychological things. Oh man, I'm an engineer. I don't talk about this kind of thing. But no, I'm sure they do a lot of tests actually on us. On that first, we do cognitive tests probably once a week. And really what I think I noticed on that was it was all through how tired you were. Because you work long days, and if you got yourself tired, you would definitely do worse on it. And I have to admit, there was a study out there, and you can look it up, that says long-term space flight, it causes cognitive decline. And so now I just look at that, I have an excuse for the rest of my life. If nothing screw up, I just say, hey, space flight. But I don't know how much, I never saw the data on that one, for sure. Psychologically, I'm sure that's all different to each person to person, right? How that does it. And one of the things we do is, the experiments we do is take a journal, and we have to write a couple, maybe 3 times a week, we have to write in it. And a scientist actually, I guess, records it and analyzes it. I don't know if I ever saw the results of that at all either. I don't really want to know. So I don't really have a good answer for it, but I don't remember too much different on that aspect. Yes?
Is it more time to exercise in space than on Earth?
There's more time to exercise in space than on Earth. Oh man, it depends on which exercise, I guess. But I found out, let's take the treadmill. So the treadmill, you have a harness that holds you down with bungees, right? Now the idea is you try to work your way up to maybe your body weight. Right now, because you first do it, because you can change the force of us pulling you down, right? So when you start off, you do it pretty light, maybe like 60% of your body weight, or maybe 50% of your body weight, and you just kind of get used to the thing. And it's actually really easier to run, of course, that way, because and you felt pretty good because you have your stride is great. My God, I'm so light, boom. And as you start building up, what happens is you find out your limiting factor is the weight with a harness on your back, because you put all your weight is through your back. And so that actually starts getting sore before your legs actually get sore. And so it's more about that becomes then how much weight you can put on and how much time you can handle that weight on your body as you do that. And so that was more the issue there. So I ended up running probably about, I got to the point where I was at 80% of my body weight, and that's where I stayed. And that was the optimum place for me to do the workout. So it was easier to run that weight, but my back would hurt at the end of it.
You've got time for 3 more questions.
Okay.
How do you sleep?
How do I sleep? You sleep in a sleeping bag. And the idea there is we attach it to someplace, and the shuttle was on the wall, ceiling, wherever you could. In the station, we have a little crew quarters, which is a small little area that's your living quarters, personal space. And then we have it there, and you just make sure that it's secure, because that's what's going to keep you secure when you go to sleep. So you just basically unzip it, float on in, zip it back up, and go to sleep. It really isn't much for warmth, because it's very thin, and it has holes on the side so you can stick your arms out. If you do that though, you end up in the zombie sleep state with your arms coming up like that. But anyway, I like it better to be kind of more contained, so I keep my arms in. But that's it. Now the interesting thing about sleep is it takes a little bit to learn to go to sleep in space. because you're doing it kind of standing up, you're floating, right? So it's not, you're never laying down, you don't put your head on a pillow, or any of those normal triggers we have here on Earth. So it takes a little bit to learn how to do that, but once you do, it's a great night's sleep. It's the best mattress you're ever gonna find. And, you know, no sore shoulders, no neck or anything like that at all. Way in the back.
Do you think NASA or SpaceX are going to make like star destroyers?
I heard of NASA and SpaceX, and then are gonna do what?
Do you think they're going to start making star destroyers or something?
Start making
Star Destroyers.
Star Destroyers? Wow. I would hope so, but not I don't think right away. Right now, they're just trying to make a capsule to go to the space station, and hopefully they'll fly next year. But I know they have, you know, grand designs, but, you know, what we'd like to do is, of course, is go on to the moon first. And the reason we're going on the moon first, for the final goal being Mars, is Mars is a very, very difficult mission. It's going to take about a little less than 3 years to do a Mars trip. And that means it's like 8 months there. You have to stay on Mars for 15 months, and you can't come back early because you have to wait till the planets realign so that when you leave Mars, Earth is in the right spot when you get back. If you end up in Earth's orbit and Earth is not there, it's not a good day. So you have to wait, and then it's like an 8 month trip. So, you can't come back early, and there's lots of things we have to think about with that. You know, logistics, safety, all these kind of things. That's very difficult. The radiation issues that we're going to have, all these kind of things. We're not ready to go to Mars yet, and it's going to be a little while. And to have our equipment be really robust and reliable, we need to test it out somewhere, and that's where the moon comes in. You need to test everything out on the moon before you go on to Mars. Yes?
We know there are political tensions between the USA and Russia back on Earth. How does that play out in space with your colleagues, if at all?
No, yeah. So it's a good thing. We would have discussions, but it was on a low-key level. We're friends. I got to know these people pretty well. And the interesting part was, most of it we don't, and we all know it's like, especially I say governments talking back and forth. I mean, I was there in 2014, which was when the Ukraine issue started. Right? The jet was shot down, all that was when I was in space. And so lots of stuff going on, you know, we're not talking to you anymore, we're not talking to you, blah, blah, blah. But on our level, it was all fine. And even on space agency level, it was actually really good. They never broke contact, they never did any kind of issues. We worked really well together through that phase. Because we both know that we were level, or we need each other, I should say. And so that's one thing that I thought was really nice, is that wasn't too big of an issue. But however, though, you had to be a little, I guess, conscious of what you said. Because what they hear, just like, I don't know about your news, but there's always bias in news. And the Russian media, of course, is state-run, so there's maybe possibly a slight bias in that news. So the people, the Russians, that's what they would hear. And so you just couldn't, you know, say you guys are wrong. That's not the way to do it, right? So you had to be very tactful, and I discussed those kind of things. But we didn't do too much of that.
Well, thank you, Steve, for a great presentation. Thank you very much indeed. These signed montages that Steve did, and Amanda's got those at the front, so if anybody would like to pick up one, they are £15, which from what we looked at was round about half the cost of any astronaut signed anything on the internet. So I watched Steve play the games, and the last time Steve and I met, we went on a white water rafting trip in the Rockies, and during that we played about 20 different kinds of games, and the other guys with us. And Steve won them all except for one bar game up in Stanley. And then, as the good sport he is, he said, I think we should change the rules on this. That's true. The human space exploration is, to many people, the pinnacle of human achievement, and I think tonight we've had with us a really good representative of that endeavour and that project. So thanks again, Steve. Thank you.